All right, welcome to our third session of our Advent walk, where we go deeper into each week's themes of Advent. And this third week of Advent, we will be lighting the candle of love. So today we will be talking all about love. We're so glad that you're here, and we hope you're finding value in this special virtual series with myself, Reverend Julia, and Reverend Janice Cary. Welcome.
Good morning. So glad that we're joining again this week. I think love is my favorite one.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah. And it's kind of like, it takes the first two to get to that. You have to surrender to love.
Mhm.
And I think this is what it's talking about on the first one on December 11. He's talking about music and
Oh,
music with Christmas. It really does take us out of our stories just for a moment. It comes and just envelops you, whatever song it is. And especially Christmas songs, you
yeah.
start listening to them, and it truly is heralding the birth of love. And yes,
Yeah,
we can say Jesus brought love into
right.
the world, and the Christ in us brings love into our life.
Yeah.
So that's,
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's to open, taking something that like music that can open your heart
yeah.
to love because you mentioned that, we know we have an understanding of love, but you can't intellectualize and understand your way into love as we're talking about it. It is, it's beyond understanding, and it's beyond the feeling, the emotion, the fleeting emotion of love. It's the presence of love. And I think we get that when we really connect heart and mind. We have to
to a
have
sense of
an
completeness.
open, you have to have that open heart
Yeah.
to get there.
Yeah. I think we just had like a glitch.
Oh no.
Oh, well, we understand it's technology.
It's
Yeah.
technology.
And we just use the love to know that it works through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yes, and that's just it. That's my point, is just we got to connect heart and mind, and it's so important to have that open heart to get the fullness of the essence and presence of love. It's not something that we can just understand.
Right, right. And one of the things it says here, um, love is not a feeling,
Yeah.
it's a principle.
Yeah.
Love is the essence of our being, and love requires nothing of us. It's
Hmm.
freely given. We want to dive down deep into experiencing that awareness that we are love. And when you think of the word Christ, I know we think of light, but we also want to think of, that's what we're giving birth to, is our loving, true, highest nature. And the
Right.
manger is the heart.
Right.
It's the heart. And yes, we want to, that 18 inches between the heart and mind, that's the journey of connection, isn't it? At least it isn't, at least it is. They say that on the golf course. The 18 inches, get out of your mind. And
It is. And that's a practice in and of
yeah,
itself, because we're not always connected like that. So many times we're just up in our head. And sometimes we slip down and we're really in our feelings. But to maintain that connection,
mm.
sometimes I feel like a slip and slide, but
Yes,
you
yes, yes.
know,
How fun they were.
yeah, just to be centered and connected so much. I think love is, it is, Charles Fillmore wrote somewhere that, it's just out of all the aspects of God, love undoubtedly is the most beautiful. And I think there's so much conversation in the Advent week that I love about how unifying love is. And I think love, the essence presence of love, if we choose to come into the awareness of love and express it,
Right.
it heals all things, starting within ourselves. because it brings us from this sense of being other and being separate to really feeling this essence and presence of love that is oneness, that is truly our connection with source and bringing us into the fullness of, knowing ourselves in the
Our
truth of who we
completeness,
are.
our
Our
complete, you feel
complete, yeah,
complete. Because that,
brings it in.
when you think of complete, you think body, mind, spirit, complete,
Yeah.
complete, completion. Yeah,
Yeah. Now I have to breathe into that because
exactly.
it's the completion of also, it's not I'm either having spiritual moments or human experiences. There were never those sides to
Right,
begin with.
right, right,
It brings
exactly.
us, right? It brings us into the awareness of one, that this is a fullness of the experience. We are all of it.
That's the inner surrender, isn't it? Maybe that's why love has to come on the midpoint. We go
Yes.
through, we go through faith, peace to get to that space where,
Yeah.
oh, surrender into it. Love. What does love look like?
Yeah.
We were just sharing a moment ago is the most loving thing that we could do in my life at this moment is have David, my husband, in his Port St. Lucie rehabilitation and health care. He's in a memory care unit. And he is so taken care of. I mean, it is gut wrenching at first to think that you're going to do this. And then now that he's there and he's made friends, and I go there and he's smiling and
Mhm.
he's taken care of in a way that I physically could not do it, and
Yeah.
how loving these people are. Truly, truly angels.
And
Yeah.
that's the highest and best working in and through you, for you
Yeah.
to be able to stop and say that, we could all stop and say to ourselves, what would love do in
Right.
this situation? And a lot of times it's not what I was about to do.
It's
But
never. And yeah, yeah. And
because our ego, and I can see
yeah,
that. I can see, wanting to be, I'm the one to take care of my husband, but then realizing that that is not the most loving thing in this situation,
no.
and being okay with that, to surrender that part, you know, of that, to have the highest and best, to make the loving decision. Sometimes it is difficult and it is gut wrenching.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
have to work through it to get to it, to surrender. But all I know is the moment that I came home and I know that he's safe, I have him in my life in a different way,
Yeah.
but I have my life as well. It's a both and kind of thing. And he's very much taken care of. And I'm so, so grateful that he is where he is, you know.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
I think
And
that it's so loving to
right.
see you demonstrating love in this way.
Yeah,
It's
it's
beautiful.
challenging. It
It's
it it really is.
inspiring.
Thank you.
It's inspiring.
I mean, I'm looking forward. They're putting on a little candlelight dinner for us
Ah,
in a cup next week, and
cute.
I'm bringing two friends because four of us used to go out,
Oh,
always.
okay.
And so we're going there, and they're putting a little show on. They do absolutely everything they can at the level that is appropriate for these uh, guests. They're guests
Okay.
at this lovely little place. And they're taken care of, ice cream socials and all sorts of things for them,
Yeah.
so it's a very, it's funny. Love takes in all of the emotion and makes it okay.
Right. Right.
So you look in the eyes of the other people there, and I see them. And when I go, they're following us around. They follow us around because I say, hello, Genevieve. Hello, Harry.
Yeah.
Hello. I see them. And what that's to them, they just light up to hear that.
Yes.
They light up.
Yes. Because to acknowledge
Yeah.
someone, and
Yeah.
especially um to see the love coming through you, of course. how many times do we go through our day, kind of like with our heads down, especially in this part of the season, there's things to buy and cards to write and things to go get and, all the cooking and whatever we're in the midst of,
Uh-huh.
where we're so just focused on our tasks or the to-do list that, you could walk by 100 people with your head down and not see another single soul. I hope it didn't just, flake out there because I feel like I'm having another glitch, but it's coming back in. I had another glitch, but it came back in.
Yes. Yes.
But, I was thinking, how many times do we go through and just we walk by 100 people and we never saw anyone?
Right. Right.
It's being present, always being present in all the things that we're doing is an expression of love.
Yeah, because when we're present, we're love in action.
Yeah,
But if we're not present, we can't be love in action. We're in our heads
that's it.
comparing, contrasting, wanting something different. But to be love in action, I remember growing up, my dad, excuse me, my dad hardly ever said, I love you. He's English, right? He didn't say that very often, but you absolutely knew he loved you in what he did, in his actions. There was nothing that he wouldn't do for me, for my brother, for his family, for his friends, for people he didn't know. He would be there to help. But so his love showed up in, let me fix this for you.
Yeah.
That was his love, was he was a master builder, so he
Yeah.
could fix and create and make anything.
His acts of service were his love language.
Exactly, exactly. So it wasn't
Yeah.
in the words, although you absolutely, how many dads in those days would take their kids somewhere and then go and pick them up, 4 hours later because they wanted to go somewhere. And he and my mom were always there for us to have our life. And then he'd come back for us. And so I did the same with my children, and my children have done the same,
Aw.
with theirs. So love, this way of being, is passed down from generation to generation
Yeah. Yeah. It's a
in
way of
how to be.
being, and
Yes.
it's not so much the doing. I think that, I know a lot of parents who didn't like what their parents did, so they
Right.
try to do the opposite,
I
with
know.
their kids.
I know. The complete opposite.
Right.
Yeah. And the
Right. But
irony, yeah.
yeah.
And the irony of that is, if you're doing the absolute opposite from a mindset of an opinion, you're
Mhm.
still doing the same thing.
Yes.
The same thing. I've counseled new moms, and when they've come in and, I don't know what to do about this, and how am I going to take care of this child, or whatever is
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And the answer is always, you'll know if whatever you do from love can't be wrong.
Yeah.
But if you do it opposite because it was done to you, you're doing it from an ego standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hilarious. Yeah. So that's right. So, and it says in here, while there may always be pain and suffering, there's also there's also human beings, which is who we
Mm,
are, to intervene and help and heal and comfort. And
yeah.
we are born into this time to be together, to love one another, to support one another. As Jesus said, as I have loved you, because the love is there. Love is loving us at this moment.
Yeah.
Can I express it out?
Yeah.
Let it out.
Yeah. I think it's a great reminder that I know I circled that part about the pain and suffering. However, when you see that, know that there's also, the good, the human being striving and intervening and helping to heal and
Yeah.
comfort, because that's not what is always put the spotlight on. In our society, there's a tendency to spotlight the negativity,
Yes.
but know that for every like one of those negativities, there's like 1,000 positives. And
Right.
they're much stronger, just like every positive thought is 1,000 times stronger than a negative thought. It's there. I think that helps to comfort me, to bring me back to love, just knowing that.
This just popped into my mind is bring the negativity to the nativity,
Yes.
to the heart. Bring that feeling
Yeah.
of negativity to the nativity, and it transforms it, and it's like somewhere in here it's talking about just in time. I think that's a little bit later, but love takes us out of time.
Hmm.
Time and space is we understand it's our mental concepts. I mean, there's no such thing as time really, other than, all right, I'm meeting you at this time.
Right.
It's a tool, but
That's a tool.
but to take us out of time, out of those concepts of what things look like, should be, plops us right into our heart, into that babe, where our babe, our inner child,
Yeah.
our Christ itself. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why it's so important to have your dogs at Christmas.
Yes.
The dogs at Christmas, the unconditional loving of our dogs and
Yeah.
cats and
Yeah.
birds.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's the thing that, that when we surround ourselves with, yes, the things that inspire
Uh-huh.
love in us. I remember you talked one time, I think it was about a book about the dog, and when you feel, it was like when you're loving the dog, or when the dog's loving the dog is loving you, whatever the connection is there, it's all your love.
Yes,
It's like it's
yes.
right.
The dog is a trigger for your
Hmm.
love. You
Hmm.
know, we're always triggered by something
Yeah.
within
Yes.
us. So
Yeah.
I also like this on Thursdays, December
Oh
15th.
yeah.
That's a beautiful one. And this is talking about what does love look like, what we were just saying. Um, love is an action word.
Hmm.
Sometimes love is actually taking the action that you least want to take.
Yeah, I think love for me is in the way to understand that is that it's in all of divine order, and it's present in mind, idea, and expression. There's an aspect of love in all of that. It's creative.
1 Corinthians, let all that you do be done in love. Back to, don't do it because opposite.
Yes.
Don't do the opposite because you don't like something. Just do it from the love that you have in your own heart.
Yeah. And I love she gives this one that you like. I like it too. She gives a practical tool to use. And, when we're talking about love being something that we can do, the practice of being vulnerable is
Yes.
something that she brings up, which
Mhm.
when we are talking about love as being so unifying and kind of like, the thing that has us, when we're so settled on like being right about something or
Right.
taking a side, and which side are we on? Love is the thing that shows us there were no sides to begin with.
Exactly. There are no sides. Oh, I love it. There's no sides.
There were
No
never a
sides.
side. It was all one side, or one
Right.
side, right? So it's like vulnerability is a tool that we can use to come into that awareness by seeing and accepting others with new eyes and engaging forgiveness. And I think that is so cool, because the more you forgive, the more you kind of relax out of like any dogmatic position or a need to be right or have things your way or whatever it is. Like forgiveness is so key.
Yes.
And it's not vulnerable, like open to attack vulnerable,
No, right.
it's
Right.
the vulnerability of letting it be, and just relaxing that little monkey mind and the little ego enough to say, I don't have to be right about this, or choosing to be kind over being right, or kind of those kind of energies.
Even the idea where it says here, it's precisely in those dark moments when we believe there are somehow foes to overcome. I mean,
When you believe there are.
we believe that there's nothing to overcome. There's
Yeah.
only things to let go
Yeah.
of that mindset. to
Yeah.
let more love through, more light
Yeah.
through us,
So beautiful.
Yeah,
Right. Because that allows us, when we do that, when we let go, it's like you can even visualize that in that letting go, you create space for Christ light to express, for love to express.
because love is the action word.
Yeah.
And love propels us to support in whatever way we can when we're called
Yeah.
upon, right? It's
Yeah.
the love that I felt getting the things for the children, that for our toy drive,
Yes.
bringing the food, or whatever is called upon, is, if I can do it in love, it's really a service.
Yeah. Oops. I hope I didn't have another glitch. Think it's okay. It keeps coming in and saying my internet connection is unstable, but then it comes back. I think it's all right.
It's that momentary pause where we can experience love again, right? That's it.
Yes. Yeah. And that wording that you said, the call, it's in those in the dark moments where you
Yes,
perceive a foe. The call for love is the strongest. I think I hear that like in Course in Miracles, and there's so many different, I guess, kind of traditions or religions that put things a little bit slightly differently. Um, because it's seeing it as, love, or like rising to the awareness of love. Like there's something that's calling me to come back to center. That's how I would say it, to come back to love. Not that I'm calling to get more love externally, but I'm being called to allow more love to express through
right.
me. Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of when I was at Unity Village one time, and we were walking around with one of the ministers, teachers, and he was saying, people were saying, oh, there's such an energy of love here, right? And he said, Reverend, the teacher says, well, you bring the love. These are the grounds, these are the buildings. And we're always looking forward for the truth students to come, the next group of students, because you bring the love, you bring the excitement, you bring the enthusiasm, which of course, enthusiasm is to be filled with God, and God is love. So the more we can take that, we bring it and we choose, we get to express it
Yeah.
in the smallest of ways. And it's actually, even the smaller ways are more precious than these big grandiose ways.
Oh,
The
yes.
to an animal or a child, you know,
Yeah.
is strictly just an expression of love.
It is. Yeah. I love that, because there's I forget who said this quote. I mention this all the time because it's one of just my favorite quotes about gratitude, is about paying attention and appreciating small things in life, because one day you turn around and you can realize that those were the big things, you know.
Oh, are they not? Yes,
Yeah.
because the very small things in life, when you're not able to do them, are huge,
Yeah.
become the most real, you realize they were the most important.
Yeah.
And so you want to surround yourself with people who can see the dignity of you,
Yeah.
even in the midst of the challenges that your body may be going through,
Yeah.
you know, or your mind, whatever, uh,
That's
whatever it
right.
may be.
That's
I'm
right.
back to the memory care center.
That's right. It's a beautiful example.
Mhm. It really is, that these folks are whole and complete just as they are. Um, and if we don't see that, it's us who are blind.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so we want to engage with everyone from a standpoint of a gaze, like you
Yeah.
were gazing at a sunset, that, or a sunrise, with just no opinion, just
Yeah.
love flowing through. There was a time in the nursing home where a little girl came in, one of the granddaughters of one of the nurses there, and she's this. And the nurse said, he is just seeing pure love. He
So
is
the
just seeing pure love.
I
Yeah.
missed like a snippet of that, and I want to hear because it was the little granddaughter that came.
The little granddaughter came, and David looked at her,
Oh,
and their eyes connected for just a moment. And this smile came across his face, like he
oh,
was looking at the most beautiful sunset or painting he'd ever seen. And he
yeah,
was. And the nurse said, oh, that's a perfect expression of love. He
yeah,
just saw such beauty and love.
yeah, yeah,
And it was his expression. So what does that response do to us? It makes us smile. It makes
right.
us open, because we were open to see
Mm,
the beauty that was before him at that
yeah,
moment. What
yeah.
was really neat was they saw it.
And they saw it.
They
Yes.
saw, they
Yeah,
saw his gentleness
yeah,
of, ah, how beautiful.
yeah.
Never
And
saw
it's
her
so, that,
again.
and that's like you're creating that experience. And
Mhm.
I can't, I think about, in Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters and the one about healing others, she has this really great advice that she writes in there about expecting God in others, in your
Yes.
interactions with others. And I think
Mhm.
that's exactly what you're saying in your interactions with the staff around David and the people around him. You're expecting God in them, you're seeing God in them, and there's no way for that experience to unfold than for them to in turn express God. There's
Right.
just it's so neat that,
Because
that's such a living example, a great living
sure,
example of this.
we are all the face of God.
Yeah.
Or as
Yes.
what Mother Teresa said, I am taking care of Christ in all their disguises,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Right.
because there's only one, there is only love.
Yeah.
And the absence of love is we've turned away from it.
Yeah.
There really isn't an absence of love. Even
Mhm.
those words are not accurate, but we pull down the shade. We put shade on it.
Right. It's an error. It's an error thought.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to love to think about when I go to headquarters, as they say,
Mhm.
in the silence, and I can feel these mighty electrical currents
Yeah.
running through. And I think of it like sunbathing, and when I was younger in Michigan, you'd go out and you'd sunbathe, and you could feel the warmth caress you.
Oh,
And as I
yeah.
go into the silence now, and I look, I'm gazing down upon my own being from my own place here. I
Right.
can feel the sunbathing, the SON,
Mm,
the sunbathing, or the light bathing.
yes.
And it just brings out within me the quality of love that I can't fake,
Mm,
because it's love, because it's just pure,
yes.
unadulterated,
Yeah. Hmm.
unconditional. It doesn't need an adjective to express true love,
Mm.
because it has
Right.
no opinion. I like where he says it bears all things, you know.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. Love is patient. Love is
Love is
kind.
right.
It's funny because I was getting ready for, this coming Sunday for Love Sunday. And it's this little neat thing that I found that Charles Fillmore wrote at some point about love and like breaking down the ingredients of love. And he kind of talked about it like putting light through crystals so that you see the prism and the spectrum of all the colors that make it up. And he wrote that when you break up love, there's 9 ingredients, and it's patience, kindness, generosity, humility, courtesy, unselfishness, good temper, guileless, and sincerity.
I like that.
I
Yeah,
like,
that's
isn't
the
that neat?
recipe.
It's like the
Hmm.
spectrum of love.
Mhm.
Because
Right,
I think that's so great because it's not just one emotion, I love you. It really kind of puts into perspective the breadth of all that love is. It's so much.
right, right. And I like the idea, you cannot love God if you don't love other people,
Yeah.
one another. But that doesn't mean you have to go out with them all the time.
Right. No.
Yes,
Yeah.
but to love the Christ of them, to look
Right.
to be able to see that each one of us is an aspect of the one life.
Yeah.
Have that
And that
light.
is good. And that, it's like the second principle. It's like that to see the good because people are good. And it's, sometimes that's a challenge too.
Sure.
Everyone is good. Yes, everyone is good. It doesn't mean, people can make bad choices or what we perceive as, doing bad things or we judge as, but a good person can be perceived to do a bad thing. It doesn't make them a bad person. You know what I mean?
Right, I do.
It doesn't corrupt the Christ within them. I don't think that's possible.
It's incorruptible.
Christ is incorruptible, right? And it's Christ is
Right,
present in
right.
all of us, right? Right.
And I think of in my upcoming talk on love, I love that recipe for love. Actually, I love it. It reminds me of the fruits of the spirit.
Yeah,
Know you're in love when you're being compassionate and caring and all that. But yeah, love is so much more than a romantic feeling.
right.
Love is our very breath.
Yeah,
Love is the whole thing, the
the
healing,
whole thing.
harmonizing. Yeah, it's the completeness of us. Oh, here's what I was going to say. Christmas. You broke up the word love. Break up the word Christmas.
Hmm.
And this is what we're talking about is it's Christ devotion. Mass is it? What is mass? But you come to to worship, a devotion. So you
Yeah,
worship the Christ within you, Christ mass. And that isn't a date on a calendar. It's an everyday, every moment. We're allowing and devoted to or courting the presence so that we're aware of this presence, this Christed presence, and the Christ then lives us, leads us, and guides us. That's Christmas, you know,
right.
and that
I
can
love
be
it.
anytime,
The
anytime.
birth of that Christ awareness
Yes,
or the renewed,
yes,
because I think we can
yes.
also always, go deeper into this awareness and this connection.
I just love the way over the years this Christmas story and
Yeah,
anything and everything with unity and the Bible has become so much deeper within me.
right.
And all the songs and everything, it brings up such tears of incredible love, not tears of sadness,
No,
but
it's
tears of
healing. Right.
healing. Yeah, yeah. It's just it's just beautiful. Some of these, all of the songs and all of the idea behind Christmas is a really beautiful. It's a godsend.
Yeah, it is. And I think the way that we experience it in unity is so neat because it's never like, each year I've had such a unique experience of the Advent season and of, Christmas. Like, the outward things, sometimes they stay the same, but when we take this on, when we decide to have the Advent journey within,
Yes.
that's not something that, oh, we did that once and we don't have to do it. It's like
No, it's every
it
time.
keeps growing.
Yeah, yeah, it absolutely keeps growing. Because when someone says, "Oh, I've taken that class or I've done that once," well, they've stopped.
Yeah. Right,
they
right.
they haven't gone deeper with it, or they haven't allowed themselves to hear it in a different way, in a deeper way, because you know
Yeah.
what, we don't ever stop growing, we don't ever stop seeing more.
We're a different person, and
Absolutely.
the cells of our body, each cell in our body is different now than it was 7 years ago. We have a different physical body. We've regenerated and we regenerate spiritually too.
Yes, we do. We do.
Yeah.
Right. So, and
So
here's that.
I'm really, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was hearing, here's that quote. Love takes all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. You
Mm,
love anyway. You love
yes.
anyway. I think there's a song like that, Love Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway, watched any Christmas movies that have brought some of this out again?
No, my favorite movie is that Spirited on Apple TV.
Oh, you really like that one. That's
I
fun.
love
Yes.
it. Yes.
Okay.
And my daughter and I watched The Elf on the Shelf because, she's little, so we watch like cartoon movies.
Right, of course, of course, of course.
Yes. But Spirited was
Love,
really good. It's kind of like a modern day retelling kind of an interpretation of the Dickens Christmas Carol.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
which is
yes.
the old-timey movie of that I've always loved,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge is visited by the ghosts of
Right.
Christmas.
And I mean, that's so metaphysical, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
I've
Yes.
done that. I've done that in the church where, we can all be Scrooge, or we can all be we can wake up
And be
to
enlightened Scrooge.
be the light, a
The
light
change of
there.
heart.
Of course, and I always like the ones, how the Grinch stole Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, that's
In
that's Grace's
Whoville. I mean,
favorite.
that one, is it? Yeah. Yeah, and the Who's gather around the Christmas tree. It's not in the presents, it's in the
Yeah.
love. So we either get to be the Grinch or the Who,
Yeah.
one of the Who's. But anyway,
Definitely.
it is a beautiful time, and it's a wonderful time to share with our friends and our family and just appreciate the moments of joy that we have had, and even the moments of challenge and sorrow, because they've only made the
Yeah,
moments of joy more appreciative,
that's right.
so
That's very true.
yeah, so we
Makes
do
us
live,
more aware.
right. I mean, we live in a world, but we're not of this world. We are of God, and we are the lights of the world, and we want to continuously clear our own channel so that this light can flow through uninhibited, unencumbered, and without throwing shadows, and
Yeah.
it takes for us to be rested in love and renewed. And
Mhm.
I love the Ho'oponopono prayer.
Mhm.
How's it go? I'm sorry, please forgive me.
I
Thank
love
you. I
you.
love you.
I'm
I love you.
sorry,
And
please
it's,
forgive me. Thank you. I love you.
yeah, and it's always clearing ourselves so that we can uh, be the light in the world.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
so I have loved this time together.
me too.
We have one more, and I love our genuine friendship and our relationship, and I love all of you who are watching this, and I
Thank
certainly
you.
hope that what we share, we all know is the same in all of us.
Yeah.
It's the same, because we're all in this together.
Yes, we are. How beautiful.
Yeah.
So, 1 week left.
1 week left. Joy. Yes.
Bye.
Bye bye now.